Robert Renova writes, this question is for John. I heard you say that you don't like the Star Wars prequels. Even though they are not my favorite movies, I still love everything about the Star Wars movie saga. Yes, there are things I didn't like about them, but it was great to get back in the theater and not have to see an updated version of the movies that I already love. Is there anything you did like about the prequels?
First, guys, got to bring up this graphic here when you get a chance to put this graphic up. That kind of epitomizes my whole feeling of the prequels. Is pretty much epitomized right there. Yeah, I am. Look, Star Wars is the blood that runs through my veins. Anybody who knows me knows this is the truth. I live, breathe, die everything Star Wars. I even play the Star Wars desktop role-playing game, the West End Games version, by the way, not the West Coast Games version. But notoriously, I detest the prequels. That being said, and it's well established how much I didn't like the prequels, there are things in the prequels to like, and I'll go over a couple of them. The lightsaber battle between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, and then ultimately just Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, fabulous. Fabulous lightsaber battle. I can watch that 100 times a day. The music with it, the John Williams Duel of the Fates score, playing with it, you can't help but get goosebumps. It's awesome. Love the pod race. I know a lot of people who like the prequels. I don't understand that, but I know a lot of people who like the prequels that didn't like the pod race. I actually love the pod race. I loved everything about it. Also, at the time when the film came out, I was a producer and a client services director at a CG and visual effects company. And you have to understand the giant leap forward that the prequels were in terms of visual effects. You can't overstate it. It changed the game completely. And you know, there would be a lot of times we'd be sitting in the studio working on stuff, and then somebody would say, staff meeting? And when they say staff meeting, that means let's all run down to the theater that's 5 minutes away and watch Phantom Menace again, because we just wanted to watch the visual effects. Another thing that I really liked about it, and staying with the Phantom Menace, was that I liked the whole idea. A lot of films will have a big end battle, but I loved in the Phantom Menace how they had 3 big battles that were really all part of one battle. You had the Gungan battle against the droid army, you had the battle going on in the palace, and you had the battle going on up in orbit. And they were all connected, and that was a really clever piece of screenwriting that I thought worked quite well. Everything else was horrid and terrible in every single way, but those things I really enjoy about it, and that's just another great thing about film. Even films you love or hate, there can be things in it that you enjoy, and that's a good example. That's a great question. Erin, what about you? What are some of your favorite things about the prequels?
Well, I'm like you in the sense that I didn't love the prequels, to be nice about it, but there were a lot of things that I think were interesting about them. The visual effects were incredible. The costume design, amazing. The sound design and editing, I think that it was fantastic.
Ben Burt as best.
Really, so I don't think that it's something that you can just across the board say was a terrible movie, because there were aspects about it that were enjoyable, in my opinion. I saw all of them in theaters. I was excited for all of them. I didn't give up hope on the prequels just after the first one, so I was on board, although I overall disappointed.
For me, it was like a really bad abusive relationship. It's like I would go out on a date with this girl who would just be terrible to me and call me names and say I smelled funny. And then it's like, then I find out she wants to go out with me again for a second date. And I'm like, that was horrible, but damn, she's hot. So, okay, I'll go again. Star Wars is hot, man. So it's like, okay, I'll go again. And I go, and this time she slaps me in public and spits on my shoes and everything. And I'm like, oh, she's beat me down again. And then you think I'd learn my lesson, but no, a third time she calls me later and says, let's go out on a third date. And it's like, but I've been so abused in this relationship. But she's so hot. It's Star Wars, so I go again. And this time she just outright, you know, takes a dump on my feet. And you know, so at some point, and I'll never learn my lesson, because Star Wars is just the sexiest thing in the world for me, so I will keep going back. And I believe in J.J. Abrams and the new incarnation. I believe they will do a great job with it. I can't wait for episode 7.
John, you know what I have to say, though? I actually don't hate the prequels. I like them. I didn't love them. There's one thing that I have to appreciate by them, and I know that you all hate Jar Jar Binks, but what Jar Jar Binks was bring a new generation of Star Wars fans to get excited about this franchise. So we all grew up with the originals, but there's this whole generation of kids that didn't. And so I think characters like Jar Jar Binks and the softness that we all hated is what brought this whole new generation of Star Wars fans that are going to get just as excited about the next movies as we do. So I appreciate that.
Well, I won't debate you on that. All right, folks, listen, that will do it for us. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.